Hello, and welcome back to Sharing a Chapter a Day. This is Do, Ra, me, and today I will be reading Chapter 114 of Engagement in Peril by Dara, Odoe, Sok. Chapter 114 is titled Students BEQ Incidents. One night after sneaking out into town against his probation and restriction on base, Hassan came back to the barracks stone out of his mind. He had just gotten tattooed on his left chest. The tattoo that he had gotten on his left chest resembled that of a sun with a smiley face, with some flowers surrounding it. He also told that he had bought and used some illegal drugs, like ecstasies and such. Besides being stoned, he also purchased a plastic pocket pussy from a nearby adult shop, F Street, and the whole barrack all got a good laugh about his purchased item then. Hassan decided to take the rubber pussy with him into the shower and masturbate with it. He then ran naked around the open bay with the attached pussy atop his penis, screaming and laughing about it. His action freaked out everyone in the open bay, but we all had a good laugh about it. It was Misha after all. It was just the way he was going. It was just what he was going through then, and we allowed him to act his crazy self. He was later punished for his mischievous misconducts and was given extra duties cleaning and sweeping the floor and was placed on stricter base restriction, and more of his privileges were taken away once our advisor had found out about that incident. Soon after, Hassan eventually got booted out of A school and placed under psychiatric watch and care because he went mad, and also because due to the fact that his relationship with his longtime girlfriend, who was living and going to school in San Diego, was on the rocks. She had dumped him days earlier, and after much struggle and anger, months later the Navy finally released Misha Hassan home on a psychiatric discharge, never to be allowed to serve in the armed services ever again. Misha didn't argue over the command's decision then. He took it in stride and was ready to leave the miserable place anyhow. During some weekends, I would go to downtown San Diego with friends and classmates to a local sports bar, Hooters, a nearby sports bar where the waitresses dressed up in tights and pantyhose and ass-high orange shorts with white tank tops that are way too little to cover their large man-made enhanced bosoms. I usually order the hot wings, and being horny-minded, I just watch the large-breasted waitresses up and down rather than watching the televised sporting events that was going on atop or ahead of me on the mini television sets throughout the sports bar establishment. One time I even had my picture taken with them. My buddy had told them that I was a foreigner visiting from a foreign military of sorts, so I just kept my mouth shut and smiled a lot. And the waitresses were dull enough to believe that I was a foreigner. I posed in between two sets of luscious, large boobs while my buddies smilingly took the pictures for me. Those were the kind of things we did then as new, wet behind the ears U.S. Navy sailor then. I still have that photo of me with the lovely large-breasted ladies to this day. Good memories, good memories to go back to on those lonely, sex-craving nights, of course, that I jack off to. Sometime during my off times, and if I want to be alone, I will go down to Horton Plaza Mall to watch movies and window shop about the mini stores the market had to offer. One night, a shipmate of mine, Brown, and I decided to go to F Street, an adult books video store that was right across the street from the downtown mall in San Diego. The store had adult toys, video, peeping booths with hand towel that you can jack off to, and many other adult toys and games. I stood around reading the dirty magazine and the video covers, while waiting for Brown, who ventured into the booth to view pornography and smack his monkey or choke his chicken. Whatnot, I also bought a wallet-sized Playboy calendar for my room back at that bungalow. We didn't leave the adult store until 0100 the next morning. We walked back to our command, and while walking toward our destination, a dark blue pickup truck tried to pick us up. He had thought we were streetwalkers of some sort. We said no to his offer of giving us a ride, and we both got back to base safely without being harassed any further that early morning. A school wasn't all fun and game. I had a classmate by the name of Riddle who was an idiot and ignorant of other people's color and creed. He didn't like anyone who wasn't white. He had admitted of being a racist to those nearby and could hear his sneering remark. I had an incident with him once during our stay together at the A school barracks. He was picking on Tran, a Vietnamese man who spoke very little English then, and made snide remarks about his speech and eyes, and also picked on me for being brown and being small. He dogged us about our race and such, boasting that we ate dogs, cats, and rodents. Riddle rambled on and picked on my height, the way I spoke, my Asian feature, my race. He just got on my last nerve, so he and I got into a little scuffle over the matter. No one really got hurt or anything through it, though, except feelings. During our altercation, a classmate stopped the incident from escalating any further. The incident was never reported to our command and advisor because if it had, there would have been an investigation and everyone would have been questioned and interrogated about the racial matter. We kept it to ourselves, though. School's exam went quite well for me then. We had several hands-on examinations with dummies and live people where we staged accidents, incidents, and emergencies. During our hands-on classes, we got to give each other shots and draw blood from each other and put catheter into male and female mannequins. I passed all my written and hand exams on the first try. I did well enough in class to be able to pick any orders I wanted for my next duty station after we graduated from A school. But I decided to stay in San Diego because my mother didn't want me to go too far away from home. With that in mind, I had wanted to go to Okinawa, Japan at first, and it's a good thing that I didn't because an incident occurred in Okinawa at that time that caused the Japanese government to have some bad relations with the US military then. A Japanese teenage girl was abducted and raped by several Marines who were supposedly drunk, and they brutalized a delicate young virgin girl who was minding her own business with her own world was turning where her world was turned upside down by those two horrible, idiotic human beings then. Okinawa, Japan was the very same place where my good beloved Shinshin Megami was conceived in. Soon after the incident was discovered and reported, the Japanese government made a big fuss about it, and to relieve tension between the two countries, the US government and the US military worldwide changed their drinking age from 18 to 21 years of age, and most bar and liquor shop on base and commands were dismantled, torn down, and sent packing and put out of business on military bases and installation throughout the world. Because before recently, the drinking age on any military base was 18 years old, and since this incident, it has now gone up to the age of 21. So many people lost their job then, and businesses. The night before we graduated from A school, our class advisor informed all the male graduates that we were all going to field medical service school with the Marines right after graduation. It was required of all male and hospital corpsmen at the time. There were about 23 male graduates from my class then, and none of us wanted to go except for one, who thought of himself as a hardcore sailor. Son of a bitch Montgomery was his name, and we later found out that he was just as scared as we were then, or even worse. We were all pissed off about being sent off with the Marines, but had to follow our direct orders. Most of us were frustrated from the fact and stated that if we wanted to be the Marines, we would have joined the Marines. After graduating and before reporting to my next command with the Marines in Camp Pendleton, I went home for about 5 days to spend time with my family and my good friend Benevolence. I hadn't seen her since our last night of high school together, about 8 months back. My next duty station was at Camp Del Mar in Camp Pendleton, California. While at home in Long Beach, besides spending some humble time with my mom and my sibling, I hung out with Benevolence, a good friend from high school whom I had several classes with during my senior year at Polytechnic High School. Benevolent was the only one I hung out with the whole time there, and she was the only friend that wrote back to me at boot camp besides several of my teachers. We did pretty much everything together, going to the beach, the movies, bowling, and whatever we wanted to do, and decided. She was such a wonderful friend then. Who would have known that she and I would eventually hooked up, and several years down the road, and she became my first actual intimate partner then. You know, we were even engaged for some time, once I was honorably discharged from the United States Navy. I guess you guys have read about that already. Thank you for listening. This is the end of Chapter 114. Be on the lookout for Chapter 115, titled Field Medical Service School. This is Do, Ra, me, and I'll see you later. Thank you.